they shirked from it, and when war flames flared up, they left Imam Hassan alone. As opposed to this lazy and timid army, the soldiers of Muawiyah were extremely obedient. They carried out the orders of their emir without hesitation or excuse, and if one of them failed to perform his duty, he was taken to task by Muawiyah. Second, the chiefs of tribes who paid allegiance to Imam Hassan were very greedy to acquire wealth and position. If they got a share in power, they were pleased, but when no such benefit accrued, they got annoyed. They had behaved somewhat like this with his venerable father, who had in view nothing except justice, brotherhood, and public well-being. As far as the enforcement of justice is concerned, the tribal chiefs did not like to see themselves at par with the common people. That is why Najashi, Maskala ibn Habira, Kaka ibn Shor etc. left the Imam and joined Muawiyah. The Iraqis, breaking of oath of allegiance to the Imam, and their treason was because they preferred worldly gains to the hereafter. They left the Imam because he had not sold his faith to anyone. They rushed to Muawiyah, who was prepared to commit every crime to achieve his aims. Third, many hypocrites were also among those who had paid allegiance to Imam Hassan. Outwardly, they supported him, but they were always trying to cause harm. Some of them wrote to Muawiyah, who responded to them and sent them money. Amr ibn Huraith, Amara ibn Walid, Hujr ibn Amr, Amr ibn Sa'd, Abu Burda ibn Abu Musa Ash'ari, Ismail ibn Talha and Ishaq, were all hopeful that Muawiyah would appoint them as governors. Sheikh Razi al-Yassin writes in Sul al-Hasan 3. The hypocrites wrote to Muawiyah that they were obedient to him and asked him to come over to them as soon as possible. They decided to hand over Imam Hassan to Muawiyah or kill him. Muawiyah wrote to Amr ibn Huraith, Ashith ibn Qays, Hajar ibn Abjar and Shabath ibn Rabi that if they killed Hassan ibn Ali, they would be given 100,000 dirhams, command of a Syrian regiment, and one of his daughters in marriage. As soon as the Imam came to know about the plot, he began to take precautions and started wearing a coat of mail under his dress. He also wore a coat of mail in congregational prayers. One of those persons shot an arrow at him while he was performing prayer, but it caused no harm. By way of political bribe, Muawiyah told Shabath ibn Rabi, Amr ibn Huraith, and Hajar ibn Abjar that he would give his daughters in marriage to them. If the Imam had not made peace, he would have been killed like Imam Hussein, because most of those who shed the blood of Imam Hussein, his children, and his companions, were in Imam Hassan's army before the peace treaty. For example, Shimur ibn Zil Jashan, the killer of Imam Hussein, was one of them. Fourth, Imam Hassan appointed his cousin, Mughira ibn Nawfal, as his agent in Kufa and left to fight Muawiyah. Upon reaching Nukayla, he halted there for 10 days to mobilize an army. However, many people who had promised to assist him remained aloof. Only 4,000 men reported in the cantonment of Nukayla. So, the Imam returned to Kufa and asked the people to accompany him for jihad. He chided them and said that they were deceiving him, as they had deceived his venerable father. Imam Hassan sent Ubaydullah ibn Abbas IV at the head of a 12,000 men army to guard the frontiers of Iraq and to fight jihad against Muawiyah. But Muawiyah resorted to intrigue and offered Ubaydullah 1,000,000 dirhams if he changed side. Ubaydullah accepted the offer and went over to Muawiyah overnight. And Muawiyah sent him 1,000,000 dirhams. As a result of this great victory of Muawiyah, the army chiefs of Imam Hassan's army openly disobeyed the Imam, rebelled against him, and went over to Syria, one after another. Fifth, Muawiyah sent to Imam Hassan the letters of the Imam's companions in which they had written that they would either kill the Imam or hand him over to Muawiyah. Mughira ibn Shuba, Abdullah ibn Amir and Abdur Rahman ibn Hakam brought these letters to the Imam. The Imam carried our investigations, and it became clear that his own men were traitors. It is clear that Muawiyah wanted to demoralize the Imam's army and scatter it. These were the 5 causes of Imam Hassan's peace treaty. It is clear from the above that the Imam did not make peace with Muawiyah to avoid bloodshed and to maintain unity among Muslims, as Iqbal the poet has said. He was a candle of the sanctuary, protector of society, well-wisher of community. In order that fire of hatred should not flare up, he disregarded the crown and signet ring. The Imam made peace because he lacked sincere supporters. Most of his military officers were Muawiyah's spies awaiting an opportunity to commit treachery. These hypocrites were more dangerous than those who opposed the Imam openly. As for the alleged tradition of the Holy Prophet saying, "This son of mine is a chief. Allah will make peace between two Muslim armies through him." 5. It was fabricated by liars like Abu Huraira and Samra ibn Jundub, who were bribed by Muawiyah to fabricate traditions of the Prophet. When it became clear that peace was going to be made between Imam Hassan and Muawiyah, the Kufians and spies of Muawiyah rebelled against the Imam, plundered his property, and wounded him in his thigh. When he decided to fight, they did not obey, but when he was compelled to make peace, they revolted against him. They had compelled his father also to accept the arbitration, and when the arbitration ended in loss, they began to blame him. And when he refrained from fighting and observed patience, they waged war against him on account of his patience. In the same way, they obliged Imam Hassan to sign the peace treaty and later criticized him for having done so. In such circumstances, if Imam Hassan had not made peace, what else could he do? What alternative did he have when the enemy was transgressing the religion, acting deceitfully and offering his daughters as bribe? And when the soldiers were not obeying the Imam and deserting him to enter the ranks of Muawiyah? Critics who question Imam Hassan's peace treaty with Muawiyah ignore the difficulties he was facing on every side. They judge from a distance and are not aware of the causes and results of the events of the world. Causes and circumstances have a lot to do with daily happenings, and it is impossible for one to achieve one's objects without adapting to the prevailing conditions. Hence, it is necessary for the critics of Imam Hassan's treaty to first study the immediate and distant events, and all other related matters, and then derive a conclusion. They should not judge based on mere imagination or probability. In fact, those who blame Imam Hassan are like those who criticize individuals, but do not condemn the society that has influenced them. Causes of Imam Hassan's peace treaty and martyrdom of Imam Hussein. A. It is often asked why Imam Hassan preferred peace and Imam Hussein preferred martyrdom, and how their respective actions can be explained. Many replies have been given to this question. We present below the replies obtained through research, discussions, and experience. Vengefulness of Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah harbored a grudge against Allah and His Messenger. This grudge against the Prophet and his descendants could not go away by peaceful efforts on the part of Imam Hassan. This hatred could be redressed only by shedding of blood. The flame of this rancor could be cooled only by beheading and mutilating the body. They had killed Hamza, but Hind was not satisfied till she chewed Hamza's liver and wore a necklace made of his nose and ears that she had cut off from his dead body. They killed Imam Hussein, but were not satisfied till they trampled on his body, cut off his head and hit his lips and teeth with a cane. They killed Zayd ibn Ali, but were not satisfied till they exhumed his corpse, cut off his head and impaled his body. Couldn't Muawiyah be content with the Imam's peace agreement? Couldn't he be content with anything lesser than Imam Hassan's killing? If the real object of Muawiyah was only power, why was it that after securing the power, he cursed Imam Ali, even though he had already become an absolute ruler? It is a clear mistake to think that Muawiyah and Yazid wanted peace with Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein and only wanted allegiance from them. The actual aim of the father and son was to take revenge from the religion of Allah and His Messenger, and they took this revenge by eliminating Hassan and Hussein, the two roses of the Prophet's garden. Security of Islam.